Welcome to Digitized Spotlight, your lens into the best builders in consumer crypto. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Winnie. On this series, we'll explore some of the latest trends emerging consumer crypto together and chat with those building at the forefront. In our first episode today, we dive into what everyone in Web3 is talking about, mobile apps. From the emerging mobile app stack with progressive web apps to community building, we're going to be unpacking a lot of the design choices that consumer crypto founders have to face.
Today, we're excited to bring on Chris and Christine, the co-founders of Floor, your everything app for NFTs, and one of my personal favorite crypto mobile apps. Hi, Chris and Christine. We're so excited to have you on our first episode of Digitized Spotlight. So to kick things off, can you each introduce yourself and what you're building at Floor?
Sure, I can go first. Hi, thank you for having us on number one. We're really excited to be here. My name is Chris Maddern, co-founder and CEO over at Floor. We believe that Web3 should be for everyone, and we're working to make it simpler, safer, and more understandable for as many people as we physically can.
And I'm Christine, also co-founder and COO here at Floor. And like Robinhood did for stock trading or Venmo did for peer-to-peer payments, we want to take something that feels hard and make it approachable, fun, and have it live in your pocket, go with you where you go, and make it just part of your everyday life.
That's awesome. Chris, I have a question for you. I heard you started building Floor in 2021 based on your own experience of trying to really understand NFTs. Since then, a lot has clearly happened in both the broader crypto market, but also with how NFTs have evolved. How has your vision for Floor evolved over the last 2 years?
Gosh, yeah. It's been a really fun journey. So as you alluded to, Floor started out of just, oh my God, can it really be this hard? And like Christine mentioned, I think both Christine and I have spent our careers trying to make things simpler than they actually are, and certainly simpler than they can feel. And for me, that started with US financial payments at Venmo, for Christine, buying crypto at Robinhood. And NFTs were this thing, and then kind of grew to understanding it as Web3 more broadly, where I was captivated by what it could be. And even as we were building Floor and we got this community of thousands of people who rallied around this cause that became more than the sum of its parts, because kind of this tokenized community let us do that, I thought there was this opportunity to try and bring that same simplicity, make it simpler than it is today, for Web3, starting with the thing that was the problem today, which was just tracking all the stuff you had. I think as we got further and as I got further down the rabbit hole and realized just how big I think this thing can become, that was when my mindset shifted from this being a project and a hobby to, I think someone's going to build the leading consumer onboarding platform. And I think, no one's better positioned, and, I hope doesn't have a better plan for that than us. And so let's go do that, and let's bring as many people to Web3 as we can.
Yeah, I love that. Two people who've built something in traditional consumer fintech, so it definitely makes sense.
And Chris, building on what you were saying about making NFTs more accessible and understandable, the app you guys chose to start as token gated, and currently you still need a code to join. So curious about this go-to-market approach and how you've been able to grow such a large community from there.
Yeah, gosh, we actually get this question quite a lot, and it's evolved over time. So I remember the question that we used to get a lot last year was, why did you take venture funding? And I think the answer is somewhat the same, which is starting to grow outside of that original roots while kind of paying homage to it. We started out where being an app user cost you $500. And yeah, sure, you're not going to make Web3 more accessible to everybody, $500 tickets at a time, but it was a way to gain insights, relevance, and build for a user base that's really here. And so, just like they say, being too early is the same as being wrong, you have to be building for a real problem and a real audience that exists today in order to get customers, in order to build traction, in order to get users for the stuff that you're building. And so we've tried to kind of evolve at the cusp of what we think solves real problems for users today and is compelling to the audience that exists here, while ensuring that we're building the pillars and foundation of what we think will be what we need in order to onboard folks as the edges of Web3 continue to expand. And so for us, that meant first token gating, really focusing on measuring your NFTs as financial speculation investments. Over time, we've removed the token gate. Venture funding was what allowed us to do that because we could pay for our operations outside of kind of selling tickets at the door, and started broadening outside of just measurement to discovery, helping you find your next NFT, which is, obviously a big part of what it would mean to onboard to the environment, as well as kind of things like wallet, things like in-app purchases for direct action inside of the app. Like, these are all pillars of things that we think are going to be super important as we get ready to onboard creators, brands, and users at real scale. Bit of alpha. I don't think we're going to be invite gated for too much longer. We have some active tracks right now that are kind of working out what the whole story is and how we make that make sense for everyone. But I suspect we will not be invite gated for too much longer.
If you were to launch today the same app, would you have the same strategy of being invite gated and token gated in today's market?
It's a great question. Probably not. I actually think we're in a really, really fortunate position. I think we kind of lucked out for this bear where we started small enough that we could still grow a lot, but big enough and with enough traction that we weren't starting from zero, where we realized the venture capital as well as realizing that initial capital from token sales. I don't think the go-to-market's viable, but also I don't think someone else starting in a world where we exist right now. I don't know that the product strategy is viable either. I think it would be really hard to compete with us today from where that is. And there just isn't the interest from the market in deploying lots of capital to building something like it, whether that's through tokens or through venture. So probably a very different strategy, but I don't actually know what that strategy would be It would be hard to do today.
Yeah, no, that leads me to my next question. Amanda and I were just talking about this weekend. I think we read that today NFT transaction volume this week is the lowest it's been in 2 years. Many blue chip products are trading at a fraction of their all-time highs. Some are saying NFTs are quote unquote dead. What is your take on kind of the current state of the NFT market and where we're heading in the coming years? And what do you think this next generation of NFTs really looks like?
Yeah, NFTs are dead. Long live NFTs, right? I think that's the quote that I love to live by. I think the premise of the question really comes from a focus of what NFTs were in the previous cycle, right? And anyone who's listening in is probably pretty deep in crypto. We exist in cycles. The last cycle for NFTs was hyper financialized. The focus of speculation, being able to buy something, a day later, a week later, it's worth much more. Trading and flipping was a huge part of the culture. A lot of what people call blue chips are coming out of that era. I think that it is a use case for tokenized ownership. I don't think it's the use case that we're necessarily betting on. Other things that we're excited about and that use cases that we'll see more adoption probably, includes digital portable identity, gaming, art, membership, co-creation. I think all of those things, you're not going to be able to buy one day and it's going to go up 300% the next day. You're going to use the blockchain to be able to say, I have ownership of this thing and I potentially want to keep this thing for as long as I can. And in that view, I think NFTs will be much, much more quote unquote alive when there's 100 million people using something that costs them $1 to $5 than 100,000 people using something that costs them 50 grand.
Totally. And how will Floor specifically cater to some of those additional use cases around identity, co-creation, gaming, all of which I love and we all spend a lot of time in. But yeah, specifically, how will that evolve?
Yeah, we're dabbling with some of that right now. We recently launched a creator series called Icons, where users can buy accessibly priced editions from iconic creators in the space. It's accessible and approachable not only in the price but also in the on-ramp. So you don't have to go and sign a transaction on mobile, something that a lot of people don't feel safe doing in the space. Soon hopefully we'll have a wallet out in market, so you can actually go from downloading the app to acquiring something on the blockchain without having to acquire ETH on a centralized exchange, get it to a non-custodial wallet, set up a non-custodial wallet. It's something that like my mom could do. And I think in that world, like we've really started dabbling with, even completely different views of the app, right? So that portfolio and the idea of price and price discovery isn't the forefront. It is, okay, understanding and collecting another piece of art and viewing that art in a different way. So I do think you'll see product iterations and product evolution from Floor specifically, as we do start centering around assets that the financialization of them isn't kind of the most important thing.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense and leads into kind of a next question I had, which is other than, and you've named some of these use cases that kind of need to be created and infrastructure that needs to be built. What do you see as the main barriers to adoption of consumer crypto-based mobile apps?
Yeah, it's up and down the stack. I think Christine hit some of the more kind of financial ones where, onboarding cash is hard, particularly if you live in New York, that's such a disaster, all the way through to, getting that safely into the right wallet to make the right transaction. But I actually think many of the barriers are much more philosophical than they are practical. I think it starts way before anyone starts thinking about onboarding any money. It starts with, is this for me? Like, is this a thing that I'm interested in? Is this a thing that I'm welcome in? Is this a place that's safe for me? And so I think all the way out, like way before anyone's got their hands on a keyboard, it's creating the story about why they should want to participate here. If Web3 is just a version of the internet where you get to participate financially as well as a user and a consumer of the product, why is that something you should want to do? Why is that safe? How do we put the barriers up? And so as you start thinking about a wallet for something like Floor that's deeply integrated into specific use cases, we don't want to be MetaMask. We don't want to create a general purpose wallet that lets you sign transactions. We want to make something that helps you do the things that you want to do day to day in a way that maybe that means you can't do a bunch of other stuff that you might want to do. But a product without an opinion is just a tool. And we want to build products that keep the bumpers up and help you be successful at the things that we think you should want to do. Hopefully we're right about what we think you should want to do, and we can help more people to do those things. And we think if we choose the right things and we foster the right things, then we can help more people get into Web3. We can build a better Web3. There isn't a great Web3 that's there today that we just need to onboard 100 million people to. It's about shaping what that Web3 is. It's about one where creation and discovery are inherently social, where we are creating and we are both giving and participating as a byproduct of what we're doing every single day together on the internet. And we want to build the place that makes it easy to do that, but maybe makes it hard to go and, I don't know, sign some random contract that like mints some degen shit into your wallet. Like that's not necessarily what we're going to be focusing on.
I had a quick question. I mean, obviously, with everything around Friend.tech's launch a few weeks ago, there's been a lot of talk recently about progressive web apps, which for the audience is basically websites that can be pinned to the home screen, providing almost like a mobile app-like experience with notification. I saw that Floor obviously chose to go the traditional route with Apple and Google listing, and you guys made a conscious decision to absorb that 30% take rate, deal with some of the App Store limitations, restrictions. Would love to understand kind of the logic decision behind that. What led you to launch Floor as a mobile app? And did you ever consider launching as a progressive web app? Limitations there that you considered?
Yeah, we didn't really consider it for a few reasons. One, PWAs have come a long way in the last 2 years. And obviously we started before that. Even, when you think about tools and technology choices, there's a wide range of different ways of building an app, ranging from just build a website and have it be on mobile, to build something that's like natively augmented with PWA, to build a React Native app, to like build natively with the tools and technology of the platform. And we went all the way to the other side. So Floor is a native Swift app, a native Kotlin app on Android. And we did that for a few reasons. One, I think that they're nicer, just like from a personal level. I personally, anytime I use something that isn't, the little like product and designer inside of me dies a little bit. But like there's lots of more practical considerations. today, I think for anyone who's thinking about building something, progressive web app is a really interesting potential technology to think about building with. I do think that there are limitations in experience. And then there's also fundamentally in mobile, what matters is, are you on the home screen and are you front of mind? And today, PWAs have made a big step forward, but particularly in the Apple ecosystem, anything that isn't reviewed by their app store is constantly being kind of pushed one step behind, whether that's additional restrictions and visibility on notifications, whether that's additional rules and like blacklisting, disallowment of individuals from kind of a centralized registry. There's lots of things. I would be surprised to see PWA stay on equal footing with apps on the iOS side. I think on the Android side, it's a lot more even.
Yeah. Do you think it's more like maybe as new consumer apps start, the first 100K users to experiment quickly, iterate quickly, they can launch as a PWA at first. And then as they have more users and they understand them better, kind of have more time to launch a more mobile native app. Do you kind of see that route being more popular?
Yeah, I think one thing that I hope we see more from in the Web3 space over the next few years are people investing in building native apps that go through the App Store, because I think it will generate demand and it will build a consumer and user base that say, we want to participate in Web3, we want to participate in NFTs, and that can drive App Store policies. Like what we have found over the last year and a half, I think we've been on like in the App Store, not just on TestFlight, for about a year, is that the reviewers do really deeply understand the space. They are ramping up and like becoming very familiar with Web3, and having builders who are here for the long term and who are making really like consumer grade apps. Like they should be talking to Apple. They should be helping kind of push forward the policies and the way that they think. And the more people we have doing that, the better.
Yeah, that makes sense. One question is like, I think we did a survey among college students who use crypto, and the results were kind of interesting between mobile and desktop. We saw that overwhelmingly more people preferred social interactions to be on mobile, but desktop is pretty split for financial. For NFTs, it's interesting because there's an inherent social element as well as financial. Do you think the way people buy and sell NFTs will be more mobile in the future or more desktop? I think I have a
Like not even close.
Yeah.
Like by 6 orders of magnitude mobile. Like I remember back in the mobile commerce days, you could see the same thing. People tend to prefer to make higher value, lower confidence, higher decision factor decisions on desktop computers and everything else on mobile if they physically can. And at the beginning, NFTs were low confidence, high value, like what the heck's going on? Where's my Fox app kind of decisions. And increasingly, they'll become less and less so. As you said, they're more and more embedded every day in the social fabric of what you're doing. Things like friend tech are early examples. Like I'm personally bearish on friend tech for the long run. I don't think putting numbers by people is likely to become the way that Web3 gets mass adoption. But fundamentally, they've given something people to do that's very low friction, very easy to onboard, kind of fun to do. People will favor doing that stuff in their pocket. And moreover, pretty much everything meaningful that's happened either culturally or financially over the last decade has happened in your pocket. It feels like a toy sometimes at the beginning, but I think starting a cultural revolution from a desktop computer today is probably quite hard.
Yeah, it gets back to, Chris, what you were saying about tools versus products. That I think so far today we have a bunch of tools in the space, and to use those tools, you need a lot of space. You need a lot of focus. You need to be sitting down and researching and reading the transactions that you're signing. And like, there's a trust and safety issue. I think most people who have been in Web3 for over a year have been rugged at least once, right? They have a story of, oh gosh, I signed something, or I clicked on a website that I shouldn't have clicked on. And that I think is the underlying fundamental problem, where if we build products and wallets within those products that do specific things and have those guardrails for you, you're going to be able to actually have a lot of confidence transacting on mobile. You're not going to need an entire, large screen to research the exact thing that you're doing, you're going to go in with confidence and know exactly what's going to come out the other side and be able to have fun doing it.
Yeah, no, I mean, completely, the answer completely resonates with what I've seen and experienced myself. Shifting topics here, Christine, so you are a generative art creator yourself. You've been publishing some of your awesome creations on Twitter. Would love to hear more about what you've been creating and how this has influenced your approach to leading Floor.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I started down that journey, it really was not at all for, a feedback loop or to kind of get deeper into the space. It candidly came from just wanting an outlet for some of my unused programming skills. So we're very lucky that our founding team all have background in computer science. Chris, although he's our CEO, like built the first version of the app. I got my master's in computer science. So did our CTO. But when you have three people that can all build, that doesn't mean that all three people should build. So I found myself, really contributing in ways that weren't code related. And then on the side saying like, oh, I have this set of skills that I don't want to put on a shelf. I don't want it to gather dust and I want to do something creative with it. If I don't have to do it for my job, I can do it for fun. And I just fell down a generative art rabbit hole. Someone showed me a piece of generative art on Tezos one day, and I was like, I can't believe that code made that. And so tried my own hand at it. And I think unexpectedly, what was just something that I tinkered with on the weekends has become something that has helped me really understand a totally different use case in the space, something that I wouldn't have like naturally gravitated towards as a collector and as a purchaser in NFTs. And that has opened up a huge, different set of exciting things that like we're bringing into the app now. I think it's influenced, we're running this creator program and we're sourcing artists and having them come, launch art on our platform. And I think that it's built a lot of empathy for me to understand what it's like to be an artist in this space and how difficult it is to both create art and have to market yourself and have to like manage, expectations and that dollar value that sits next to the things that you produce. So I think that has been the biggest kind of value add and something that has been really exciting. Like I've gotten to meet 10 amazing artists as part of this like first Genesis Icons series that we're doing. And I think and I hope I show up a little bit better because I've been on the other side of the table as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes a ton of sense. And I've also been following Icons as your kind of creator launchpad. I'm curious. So you've ventured into like you started off as NFT tracking, and then you ventured into commerce, this creator program, and you've also launched usernames. There's social features now. There's Discover. Like, where is this all going? It seems like an NFT super app is sort of forming here.
NFT Super App. There you go. Should update the website. So I think that when something's early and hard to understand, and decentralization naturally lends itself to fragmentation, which lends itself to like this ecosystem that's just like really hard to wrap your hands around. And so for us, that means, we're in your pocket. As we said in mobile, the only thing that matters is, are you on the home screen? Like, do you have that front of mind attention? And so we want to be that front door that users open every morning when they wake up and jump into Web3. And that is inherently kind of a wide feature set with depth in a few places. And so for us, right now we started deep and narrow, which was we're the best way to measure your NFTs on your phone. It's where we started. And we've gradually been widening, and we've been widening through two things. We've been widening by building ourselves and curating internally, but also increasingly starting to partner, starting to build on some protocols that exist out there. And when you think about Floor at its natural conclusion, it essentially is kind of like you might see financial composition and a lot of the rest of crypto. It's kind of social composition where we build on top of all of the other stuff that exists out of there to bring it together. We may not be the entire solution to your problem in NFT lending or in, liquidity in the marketplace or whatever that is. But we are going to be the place that you discover that. And we are going to be the place that you come back to next time you want to do something. We are going to be the simplest way to get onboarded and start to understand what you might even want to think about exploring. And so, yeah, very much at the front, kind of wide. Let's help make sure we can help get you into your next Web3 journey. But then in a lot of places, we'll be composing other things. We'll be sending you off to partners. Like, we can't build everything ourselves.
To close this out, let's do a few rapid fire questions, maybe. We'll start first with Christine and then Chris for each of these. NFT project that let you down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, that would be Amber Victoria's alphabet collection. I think it was like August 2021. I was leading the crypto team at Robinhood at the time, and we were trying to get deeper into Web3. And I had been following Amber. She's a New York-based artist, or was a New York-based artist, and I saw she was tweeting about NFTs, and I was like, oh, I should check this out.
Chris.
I was trying to remember what it was called. There was this project, I think it was by some guys, I can't remember if they were in Spain, called the Ethereans. And it was just like really kind of cool, cute looking art, and the team were really nice. And that was my first token gated Discord, and the first time I had any utility behind an NFT. And that it definitely was like part of the like, oh, interesting. So this is like a thing that exists in my browser, my little Fox app extension thing. But also it like lets me go into this chat room. That's kind of interesting. It was kind of part of the piecing it all together.
Love that. And last one, favorite type or use case for NFT?
Right now, I think it has to be generative art for me. The idea that the seed from the transaction hash actually shapes the piece of art that you get, and that, 99 out of 100 times you're going to see that art before the artist who actually created it will. It's just like that dynamic between collector and artist, I think is fascinating. The embed of technology is fascinating. I am in full generative art fangirl mode these days, as Chris hears a lot of.
Yeah, I think outside of art, zooming out of NFTs, Web3 is a toolkit for a more participatory internet. And NFTs play one piece of that and tokens play another. And I really believe in a world where the average community is composed of NFTs that govern membership and entitlement, and tokens govern participation, rewards, all of those things. And so anything that's moving us closer towards NFTs as being used for what I think in the long term, they should, like, they're all tools, like use them for whatever you want. But I think a world where we use NFTs both as the instruments for speculation, participation, and rewards, but also use them as like membership and entitlement, it just like really muddies the whole thing. And so I really like to see the separation of those two tools that we have for maybe kind of what they're better suited for. And I'm really excited to see more communities using both of these tools together to create really rewarding places to be and products to participate in.
So Chris and Christine, this has been a lot of fun, and really excited that you guys are our first guests on Digitized Spotlight. So to end this off, where can listeners find you and learn more about Floor?
Well, you can find Floor in the App Store or the Play Store. If you download the app and use the code Digitized, you can skip the wait list, try out the app. Let us know what you think. Another great way to reach us is if you go into the settings page of the app and hit chat with the team. Usually that is Chris or I, or two folks on our team, Corwin and Neil, who hear every single piece of feedback. So that's one way. I'm at Christine_Hall on Twitter.
And I'm Chris Maddern on Twitter. Great to hear from you.
Thanks for coming on, Chris and Christine.
Thank you for having us. This was fun.
Yeah,
and congratulations on the new show.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Hope you enjoyed our conversation with Chris and Christine. I love how they're bringing honestly the best of consumer from their previous experiences at Venmo and Robinhood to improve the overall user experience for NFTs.
Yeah, I love how user-friendly their app is. If you'd like to join us on Floor, they gave us the access code Digitized. And follow us as we chat with more founders building at the intersection of consumer and crypto.
Bye.
Bye.